Call this meeting of the Siloam Springs Board of Adjustments for Tuesday, July 8th to order. Roll call, please.
T. Williams.
Here.
Sally.
Here.
McKinney.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Sutton.
Here.
Renard. K. Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Katie's.
Thank you. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from the regular meeting on December 10th, 2024. Here were you?
Move that we accept.
Anything? Okay, have a motion to accept the minutes?
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next up, variance request, landscaping variance BOA 2501. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is not Maegan Thomas. I'm not the current planner, but she was not able to stay with us tonight, so I will be filling in for her. This is, as you said, the applicant's requesting approval to vary from section 53-3C2 of the city's municipal code. This is associated with SU 25-02, the utility special use. So with this project, the request effectively seeks an exemption from all small-scale landscaping requirements. This variance request was triggered by the applicant's desire to obtain a building permit to allow for the construction of an unmanned utility location. Section 53-3C of the city's municipal code states that new small-scale commercial within the C2 zoning district are subject to the landscaping requirements outlined in section 53-3C2. Based on the section requirements, the applicant is required to provide a total of 2 street trees, 1 per street frontage, and 15 shrubs, 1 shrub for every 10 feet of lot frontage. The hardship identified is the limited operational resources for landscaping maintenance and concerns about placing landscaping near electrical infrastructure as the basis for the requested variance. No exhibit or supporting documentation has been provided to demonstrate a permanent site condition that would physically prevent compliance with small-scale landscaping requirements. Staff finds that the request does not meet the threshold for an undue hardship as defined by municipal code. The challenges identified stem from the nature of the proposed use rather than permanent physical conditions of the site. And I will stand for any questions.
You said this is an unmanned utility. Would you define what the use of this will be?
I would have to deflect. Ben, do you know?
You asked Ben Rhoads, senior planner. Are you asking what the land use is going to be? I didn't quite get your question.
Yes.
It's supposed to be an unmanned fiber hut, is what they're calling it. It's telecommunications center of some kind that doesn't have personnel. It's just a facility there to manage that type of thing. So,
It's not a commercial property.
no, sir, not commercial. No.
And a correction on that. The zoning is C2 roadway commercial, but the use is not. That's correct, Ben.
Hence the special use permit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments? Normally, we take comments from the public first.
That is correct.
Do we have any questions or comments from the public? Not any other questions or comments from the commissioners?
Apologize, may I go up and speak?
Oh, yes, sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Swan Ludwig. I'm with CDS Muery, one of the engineers of record for AEP. Well, these fiber huts are typically utilized in support of the electrical substations that are in the area. Basically, they're an essential component to the overall infrastructure for the purpose of improving the reliability of power to the area. That being said, typically these fiber huts are unmanned. They don't require any type of water, sanitary sewer, utilities, and therefore these type of developments, what we typically like to do is once we install them, they're low maintenance, and one of the things that we typically don't like doing is adding additional landscaping, especially because of the potential conflict. That being said, the nature of the fact that this is in the location that it is, AEP is understanding and willing to work with the city, and if landscaping is a requirement, then we'd like nothing more than to work with the city to make sure that everyone benefits mutually from what we need to do here.
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Mr. Ludwig, I'm sorry. So the concern that you guys have is that there's going to be trees or shrubs around electrical infrastructure, right? But isn't all of this enclosed inside of the building?
Absolutely. That's correct. Typically, whenever we site our facilities, what we typically like to do is we'd like to keep everything nice and clean. Because it's unmanned, you're probably going to have a worker go in there maybe once a week or so? Once a month. And it's one of those things. It typically creates more of an issue with the maintenance and so forth. And overall, it works better if we don't have to address those type of things, because it works, I guess, in contrary to what we're trying to achieve. But that being said, if there is, I've been by the area, beautiful area. It's going to require a little bit more maintenance than AEP understands that. But typically in these type of developments, we try to keep the maintenance to a minimum, just because it's unmanned. It's just there for operational purposes. Does that answer your question?
Sir, I think so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I understand the thought behind of not wanting the landscape because of maintenance and such, but like you said, where it's located, it's at the entrance to a residential area. If it was at the very back of the residential area, this might be a whole different conversation. But being a tree city, trying to do better with everything we're doing in that area, I wouldn't feel comfortable granting the variance and not doing the landscaping. Any other comments or questions?
Just want to make sure I understand. I'm sorry. Is there a hardship here that I'm missing, or is this just going to be easier for you guys to maintain the property?
Correct. I think that the hardships that were indicated don't meet the requirements of the municipality, and therefore we understand. So exactly, it was just potential conflicts, one of those things that we typically don't do. And we said, you know what, let's see. And at this time, I think at the time that it was suggested, I don't think we had a good understanding of where everything was going to be and how it was going to be impactful. So.
Would it be possible that we had landscaping that was very low maintenance, it was still cosmetically pleasing to the eye?
I imagine something could be done that way. I mean, you're going to have lawn, so you're definitely going to have lawn maintenance. Somebody's going to have to come out and mow at least every 2 weeks. I mean, my grass right now, every week with the way we have rain and everything. But, and again, right there at the entrance to the residential area, personally, I think we are just better not granting a variance as opposed to trying to figure out something different. That's just my opinion.
I think I agree with the sentiment of the commission at this point. I think you have to ask as an applicant, but in my opinion, I don't think we've demonstrated a hardship here.
Question, Chris, is this just a approval or denial of the variance, or is this a recommendation to go to the board for?
Excuse me. For a variance, the final authority at the city's level is the Board of Adjustment. I do see that where it says resolution XX-25 special use permit at the top, that is actually a typographical error. So that is not correct. Whenever it has a variance associated with it, then the applicant would, I'm being hailed by Ben, so I'm going to turn this over to him unless there's something specific in the code that I'm unaware of.
It's not exactly accurate to say it's a typographical error. What Maegan was trying to do is present two items. So one item is the variance, which we're talking about right now. They also are doing a special use permit, which will be on the Planning Commission's agenda.
Okay.
But the slide goes along with both items, so that's why it says special use.
So yes, at this time, Mr. Chair, the variance is the only thing up for consideration for the Board of Adjustment. If it's denied, then we would still have this item separately as a special use permit. That's correct. But you're correct. It is approve or deny. There is a possibility to have a variance. I'm not sure if conditions would be allowed with a variance. If you said it's approved with a condition of approval, it's not typical to have that with a variance. It's usually just pass or fail.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to approve or deny the landscaping variance BOA 2501?
I would move that the landscaping variance SU 2502 be approved.
There is no second. Do I have a motion that landscaping variance BOA 2501 be denied?
I appreciate what you guys are trying to do. I appreciate you coming in, but we have code that we have to follow, and we don't see hardship, or I don't see a hardship. I make a motion to deny landscaping variance BOA 2501.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams,
No.
Sally.
Yes.
Thank you.
Landscaping variance BOA 2501 is denied. That concludes the Board of Adjustments. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Board of Adjustments is adjourned. Call to order this meeting of the Siloam Springs Planning Commission for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. Roll call, please.
T. Williams,
Here.
Sally,
Here.
McKinney,
Here.
Thomas,
Here.
Sutton,
Here.
Renard, K. Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
First up, approval of minutes from the meeting of June 10th, 2025. Was there any questions or discussion, commissioners? If not, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of June 10th.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. First up, item 1, preliminary plat PP 25-01. This was tabled from June 10th Planning Commission meeting. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ben Rhoads, Senior Planner. Yes, you're considering a preliminary plat development permit for 2200 block of North Shane and Dagan Streets. This is zoned R2, or part of it is zoned R2, and part of it, as you can see on the map, is zoned, is not zoned. It's in the county right now. What they're proposing to do is to establish a second phase of the Oakbrook subdivision. So phase one's already constructed out there. So this is the second phase to the north. It adds 43 residential lots on 15.5 acres. And as you stated earlier, this was tabled last month due to some concerns over the floodplain, which will be addressed later on in the presentation here. So here you have the layout. So the existing streets there are on the bottom on West Pittsfield. Oh, I'm not sure if this is letting me. Right. It won't let me do that. So right, as you see, as I circled there, that's the existing streets. And everything proposed is north of that. There's a loop road, and then there'll be a street that comes off of that loop called Oakbrook Drive that goes out to Highway 43. So this will be beneficial because it will have two ways in and out of the subdivision. You're not just off of that one Pittsfield street connection. The consulting engineer did look at this, and there is a condition regarding the runoff within the 100-year floodplain that there will be no rise associated with the development of that floodplain. Lot sizes are consistent with what's already constructed in the area, particularly phase one, but also with the Heritage Ranch subdivision. As I mentioned, traffic will be split two ways. We are recommending, or we find that the plat as presented does meet the city's requirements with two conditions. So the first is that the applicant needs to annex this property into the city before we allow construction, because they're hooking into our utilities. We need to have that completely in city limits. And I believe that annexation is in the works right now. We haven't received it yet, but it is coming. The second condition, as stated in the staff report, is handling the drainage, particularly the 100-year flood elevation, and not having any impacts of the development associated with that. And so with that, we're available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Are there any questions or comments from the public or engineers or property owners?
Mr. Williams, Mike Horton, 23063 Lawless Road. Clarification on this particular property, is that west of Lawless? This particular subdivision they're requesting?
It is
This
southwest.
is south of Lawless Road, considerably south of Lawless. Yeah.
Closer to the corner as you go around 43. It's close to that second curve.
It would be adjacent to Lawless Road, straight west, or you said south,
It'd be south of Lawless Road.
but it connects to 43?
Yes.
Have you all studied the traffic in that area with the school and the traffic on Lawless Road connecting with Don Hill Road and 43? It is a grave concern. I don't know how many houses he's planning on putting in there, but it is going to be a disaster, I promise you. It is already absolutely out of control on that stretch of road because people from the west cut across Lawless Road, from the people from the east cut across Lawless Road, and they use it as a racetrack. During school, it is absolutely horrendous. This, again, will absolutely be a disaster. Drainage is one thing. Traffic control is going to be absolutely out of control. And I pray with all I've got within me that you all consider denying this. It will be terrible, with the school especially.
Thank you.
Sir, your address, do you live over there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I missed that part. Okay.
Are there any other questions, comments?
Ron Homeyer, Civil Engineering, 701 South Mount Olive Street. This project is, well, the north line of this project is a quarter mile south of Lawless Road. And so the street intersection that we're proposing is 3/8 of a mile at least from the Lawless intersection that he's referring to there with 43. It meets all the site distance requirements. We established that the first time through. We did this and withdrew it, but yeah, I mean, 2 points of entry, meets all the requirements. Highway 43 has been reduced from 55 to 45 through that area in an acknowledgement of the increased traffic due to development in the area, but the traffic he's talking about cutting through on Lawless Road, I'm not surprised because of the intersection of Dawn Hill Road and 43 or Mount Olive, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it needs a light, traffic light during school, but it hasn't been justified or approved at this point, and there's nothing we can do about that. But this one is substantially away from either of the intersections he's referring to. I'd be glad to answer any other questions if you might have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Any other questions or comments from the public? Commissioners? Questions, comments, concerns?
Do we have a traffic light? Is that a suggestion that's about this at all?
I'm not aware of any of traffic signal that would be with this project. When we have an intersection that might in the future merit a study, then we would reach out and have to do some sort of a warrant study to determine whether or not a signal would be required for an intersection. I'm not aware of any as far as this specific project is concerned.
Chris, would that not be an RDOT decision with it being Highway 43 or Department of Transportation?
Sure, Mr. Chair. Any time we have an RDOT intersection in the city, we can request a warrant study for those intersections. It is up to RDOT whether or not we are allowed to install that. Usually it's just a conversation, but you're correct. If it's on an RDOT right of way, then it would be up to them whether or not it would be installed.
Do we have any information on current capacity? And I think we're estimating 392 trips related to this, but as far as current capacity and then the current traffic?
Unfortunately, no, not on that section of Highway 43.
Set him up for failure. He can have mine.
Traffic impact section just mentions both streets have adequate capacity, but there's really no info to back that up.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. Can you repeat your question?
My question was related to the traffic and the amount of traffic that is there now and the amount of traffic that this would create, and then the just overall ability to absorb that count.
So while he's pulling that up, I will just point out, if this is an RDOT right-of-way, I'm not sure if they provided a traffic study with this project. They did not. And I don't know if our ordinance requires a traffic study with this size project. It does not. I would just remind the commission that Richardson v. City of Little Rock Planning Commission requires us to follow our code.
Yeah, I don't think the traffic normally is an issue. I think it's peak times dealing with the schools and stuff like that. And I know there are board members and the school and everything working on some of that stuff. But nothing in relation to this project, which I don't think the increased traffic is beyond what 43 can handle, or whatever the street is on the other side, Pitts something. Other addition. Any other questions?
Do we have any statistics on the traffic, maybe accidents? Has that been increasing lately, or?
That would likely come with a traffic study, which was not required for this project.
Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to send this to the board with a recommendation or denial for preliminary plat PP 2501. What's the commission's pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we approve PP 2501 with stated recommendations.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
McKinney,
I'll vote yes. I think a traffic study's prudent, just throwing that out there. But I will vote yes as presented with the staff recommended changes.
thank you. Thomas,
It's a question for you, Chris. Do the people that are here in the public that are really concerned about this, if it moves forward, they have the opportunity to show up at the board meeting and speak on behalf of this?
Yes, this item will go to the Board of Directors.
Okay, just want y'all to know that, okay? All right, I'm a yes.
thank you. Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
thank you.
Motion passes, and this will go to the board on July 15th, 2025. Next up, preliminary plat permit PP 2502, also tabled from the June 10th meeting. Ben.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ben Rhoads, Senior Planner. So this is a different preliminary plat, different part of town. We're now off of Bruce Rutherford Road, right where Bruce Rutherford and Kenwood switch over. It's a 20,000 block of Bruce Rutherford. This is zone PD plan development. And the applicant wishes to establish what's called the Winding Spring subdivision. And this is going to be constructed in one development phase at this time, but there will be ultimately 3 phases in its final form. The proposal consists of 111 single-family residential lots. Ultimately, with the full build-out, that will be 229, but they're only doing the first phase right now. And this is situated on 51.14 acres. And that includes for the whole project site, as well as detention ponds and wetland area. As he stated earlier, this was tabled on the June meeting to the July meeting to allow for engineering review of a proposed roundabout location. I want to make it very clear that the roundabout is not included with this current proposal. This is why they split the phasing the way they did, so they can defer that discussion to a later point. So what we're looking at is just this area on the north right here, not going all the way down to Bruce Rutherford. So here you see the layout of the different use areas. Some of you might recall that this was the plan development that the Planning Commission looked at earlier this year with the rezoning. So they are being consistent with that plan development, which matches to the phases as shown in the original concept plan, with a roundabout that will eventually be along Street A, to be named later, and a future phase. The lots are consistent with the 4 different sub-areas. We have the number 1 is the single family with the rear loading garages. That's in the blue shading. Then we have single family with a shared wall or shared lot line that's in the red. And then we have the open space park in the green. And then I think I skipped one of those, but the yellow is the traditional single family with the front loading garage. This does match with the concept plan, and they will be, even with a limited phasing, 2 points of ingress egress, one going north to Highway 412, and the southern one will be towards the open stub out that's in the Grandview subdivision. The second stub out here is what aligns to Highway 59 that will eventually be another way out to Highway 412 if that road's ever extended. And so here you see the subdivision is laid out. Again, that extension to Highway 59 would be on the right, but that would not be an actual state highway. It'll just be a road that will dead end to the end of the state highway if it ever gets built to the north. Roundabout design is not part of the proposal. The main reason for that is that more time is really needed for the school district to look at that as to how that impacts their future plans for their property, because the roundabout does take up a lot of right-of-way, and so that will impact some of their land on their property, and so we really need some additional time for them to work that out. It does meet all the drainage standards. No driveways are currently planned on the north-south collector street, although those will be probably allowed in a later concept plan, or a later phase, rather. They did have a separate landscape plan included, which had streets along the frontage on the right-of-way. Here you see the phase laid out. So basically everything you're approving today is in the purple, which is in that left area of the map there. We have north kind of coming up to the side there. And then the future phases in the different other shading on the right. So staff finds that this preliminary plat as presented does meet all the minimum requirements for approval with no needed conditions, and we are available for any of your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Do we have any questions or comments from the public or engineers or anyone?
Good evening, Commissioners. Taylor Lindley with Craft and Toll and Associates, the engineer of record for this project. I think Ben covered everything succinctly in his staff report, so just wanted to come up and offer to address any questions or comments that you might have, and then just echo the sentiment about the roundabout. Obviously, it's not shown on here, but we're not trying to avoid that necessarily. It's just got to have more time for conversations with all the interested parties, allow the new city engineer to digest some of the concepts that we proposed, and allow the school district to weigh in as well. So that'll come back with hopefully a combined phase 2 and 3 preliminary plat at a later date. So now just phase 1. But any other questions you have, happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments or questions from the public? If not, commissioners, questions, comments, concerns? I don't know if this goes to Ben or engineer or Chris. I know one of the letters in there had questions about the collector street. Do you have a definition of a collector street?
We have a standard street section that shows what a collector street section is. I would deflect to our city engineer. So
a collector street is a conduit between two different locations. That's basically, it's supposed to connect two different destinations.
Okay, but there's no, there were things brought up in the letter that I was just wondering if there are conditions in a collector street as far as on-street parking, driveways onto a collector street, other than width and stuff like that, are
Sure.
those conditions?
There is no on-street parking allowed. That is true. There is a design average daily traffic volume that we're supposed to be within. And a rough conceptual traffic study shows that with this area fully developed, we will still be below that average daily traffic volume. And that's all I can think of now for a definition of collector streets.
Mr. Chair, and I believe that part of that question was relative to the lots that had individual driveways that would essentially go into that. I believe that there has to be separation requirements between those driveways, but that would come, I think that the concerns with that are primarily on the south portion of this, which is it's either phase 2 or 3. So that's not a part of this phase, and I'm not 100% sure how that's going to land, because if we do end up having to remove the roundabout that's proposed with that final phase of development, then it would have to come back to the Planning Commission for an alteration, since this is a PD development. PD they're locked in on that design on the south end of this project unless the zoning changes. So with the north end of this development, I do not believe any of them back out onto the collector, so that would not be applicable to this portion of the project. As far as the future development, we can have better, whenever that comes forward, if those are going to be backed onto the collector street, we can make sure to have that ordinance available for the commission to have quick access to.
The only parking that could be a concern in that way would be there in the parks, where they put some of those lots on the green space.
That is correct. There's the small part, I believe there's a parking lot that services the phase 1 park area.
Is it an actual lot where they can pull in, turn around, and pull out?
And I believe that is a design requirement from the board of directors as a condition of approval for the planned development.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a
I have
motion.
one.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
If that roundabout's not approved, you can't come to terms, what happens then?
That would, since it's a part of the planned development, it would require a rezone from PD to PD. I know that sounds odd, but the planned development, as it's currently approved, has a concept which includes the roundabout that is attached to the zoning. So a PD, or a planned development, whenever they bring that forward with the zoning, they provide us with a copy of the concept and any of there's some potential text portions of that, and anything that's presented with that rezone is effectively locked with that zoning. So when I say zone from PD to PD, they would have to request a rezone from the PD in its current state, make any changes to that PD to allow them to deviate from the approved zoning.
In other words, they'd have to have a different plan and bring it back to us.
That's correct, and it would be through a rezone rather than an amendment to the plan.
Right.
And who leads that discussion with adjacent property owners? I mean, is city heavily involved in that? Plan to be? Anyone?
I would deflect to Ben, that is his.
We, early on, when this was in the zoning stage, as you recall, went through the PD zoning, we did meet with the school district and talked about what their plans were of the property, and we knew there were some concerns. That was sort of, we put a pin in that, and then we came back with them again. This is one reason why it got tabled. Last month, we met with them, and there were definitely, when we had an actual design, it became more, we became more aware of the impacts that was going to have on the school district's property. And so the only way, because originally this was all supposed to come in at one time, we weren't going to piecemeal it. And so really we came to a conclusion that let's just separate the project out and allow the roundabout discussion to sort of happen independently in the background. And whenever that's been resolved, then they can come back with a later phase of the development to address the whatever. So everybody's happy essentially. So.
I guess my primary concern is everyone understands that there's still a discussion to be had, and this phase is the first phase, and there could be changes.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we understand that completely, and I think no matter what's decided on the south end with the roundabout or typical intersection or whatever, it doesn't change what we're proposing for phase one specifically. So that's all we're asking for tonight.
If there's no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to forward to the board with a recommendation of approval for preliminary plat permit PP 25-02.
I'd make a motion to recommend approval, forward this to the board for approval, PP 25-02.
Second. Motion is second. Roll call, please.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes. This will go to the board on July 15th, 2025. Next up, special use permit SU 25-02. Maegan? Oh, Chris?
Chris Paxton, Director of Administrative Services. Let me see if I can. Okay, so this is at 1401 East Emelyn Lane. This is currently zoned C2 roadway commercial. The applicant is requesting to allow use unit 13 utilities within a C2 roadway commercial zoning district. The associated project BOA 25-01 was the one that we denied, or that this commission denied earlier through their Board of Adjustment action. During the staff review, the applicant's requesting to allow a utilities fiber hut facility within a C2 zoning district. The special use request was triggered by the applicant's desire to obtain a building permit. The proposed private fiber hut facility is not expected to generate significant traffic and is not intended for daily employee use and does not serve customers on site. The proposed use is compatible with the surrounding mixed-use area, which includes low-traffic commercial establishments, churches, and some residential properties. City staff finds that the special use request, as presented, meets the minimum city requirements and is consistent with the surrounding existing commercial and institutional uses within the neighborhood. And I'll stand for any questions.
Public comment first. Do we have any questions or comments from the public? Sir? State your name and address, please.
Sure. It's 100 Northeast Loop 410 here in San Antonio. One of the engineers of record with CDS Muery in support of this facility for AEP. As indicated in my previous discussion, what we're trying to do is we're advocating for this particular fiber hut installation. The installation is pretty critical in ensuring the reliability because it allows the different electrical substations in the area to communicate with one another. It also provides advance warning if for some reason there is an issue. So these fiber huts are required at different locations. There is a substation that's currently less than half a mile south of this particular location. And typically what we'd like to do is we'd like to go ahead and package these together. On this particular case, however, the real estate was not sufficient, and therefore various other locations were evaluated. And this one was by far the best. Taking this into consideration, as I mentioned earlier, the AP would like to work with the city, making sure that the landscaping requirement is achieved. But this is a critical component that we are in favor of, and we're hoping that the city can see the significance of having, of allowing this utility to proceed. Available for any questions if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? If not, commissioners, do you have any questions, comments, concerns? I will ask, what kind of building is this? I mean, when you say hut, I picture a few different things. Are we talking a portable building that's just stuck on the property? Are we talking a Quonset hut? What? There's no.
Yes, sir. These are, they look like drop-in control modules. They're basically a prefabricated structure that is probably about 30 by about, what is it? I'm sorry, what? 12 by 30. So it contains computers, battery backups, that kind of infrastructure. And like I mentioned to you, it's not manned, doesn't have any water, sanitary sewer, anything like that, but really critical in ensuring that if there are any detections that are required in order for proper operation, that's an essential component in making sure that everything functioned properly.
Thank you.
Does it have fencing around it?
Yes, the proposal is to enclose it with wood 7.5, 8 foot tall wood fencing. So we'll be secluded.
Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I would move that we approve special use permit SU 25-202.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to recommend approval for special use permit SU 2502. Roll call, please.
Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes, and this will go to the board on August 5th, 2025. Next up, significant development permit SD 2506.
Yes, Ben Rhoads, Senior Planner. Get to the right screen here. So for these, I'm going to present both items together. There are two items that are occurring on the same property, which is...
Mr. Chair.
Oh, sorry. The 2506 is to be tabled, isn't it?
Yes, Mr. Chair,
Oh,
25, excuse us, the SD 25-06 is requested to be tabled. The project missed the public notice.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a motion to table significant development permit SD 2506 until the next meeting?
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll call, please.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion passes, and that will be on the next meeting if everything's in. Now, rezoning development permit RZ 2505. Ben.
Yeah, I apologize. I jumped ahead a little bit there on you guys. So, yes, so we are on item RZ 2505. So this is as I was trying to say earlier, I will be presenting on this item and the next item together, and then you can vote on them individually. But we're at the 900 block of Sherry Whitlock Drive. The proposal is to rezone R2 to GI. Applicant desires to rezone this as part of a non-platted lot, but it will be split through a separate lot split. It consists of 2.16 acres going to the GI, General Institutional. And they're wanting to do this to allow for a private medical clinic. No land use map amendments will be needed for this one, and it is associated with a significant development permit, which we'll cover later on in the presentation. So here you see the future land use map. When we have split uses like this, we go with the majority use on the property. As you can see, it's primarily set as a local commercial. And under that local commercial, the appropriate uses are either civic, schools, recreation, or small offices and shops. And I believe either of these would be appropriate for a clinic. And so we also believe that any allowed uses, if the clinic doesn't get built within the GI designation, would fit in with the future land use map. So it would be considered appropriate. Here you see the site. It's on the corner of Heiko and True Whitlock Drive. Rezoning, as I mentioned, was in preparation of a proposed clinic, and the site is vacant. Neighborhood functions primarily as commercial and institutional corridors that the zoning will fit in with that. You can see there's commercial right across the corner to the southeast. And as you go further east, you'll have different institutional uses, the fire station, churches, and the clinic, and so it does kind of fit in with that. So staff does find that the zoning meets with the requirements of the GI as laid out in our code and is compliant with the guidance of the future land use map. So I'm going to skip over most of this because you know where it is. But the proposal is to build a 10,000 square foot medical clinic. And this is, of course, for the significant development portion of the presentation. And here you see that significant development permit. Here's the side on the left. You can see there's two drives that come in off of Heiko. The rear drive would be more for employees, and the front drive for customers. There will be interconnection there on the left. We have a dumpster in the back corner. 10,000 square foot, 47 parking spaces. There will be an on-site detention basin along the front. It does meet all the city regulations, including landscaping. They are including sidewalk along Heiko. And the proposal does comply with all the code requirements. There is a condition, and of course that is related to the rezoning that's needed for the GI. So we do need to have that rezoning approved before the approval of the development. With that, we're available for any of your questions on either item. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Do you have any questions or comments from anyone in the public? If not, any questions, comments from the commissioners? If not, I'll entertain a motion to recommend the rezoning development permit for approval to the board, RZ 2505.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we forward this to the Board of Directors with a recommendation of approval.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton.
Yes.
Motion passes. This will go to the board August 5th, 2025. Next up's the significant development permit, SD 2507. Do I have a motion to forward this to the board with a recommendation for approval?
I would move we forward this to the board with a recommendation of approval on SD 25-07.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and second. Roll call, please.
T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
This will also go to the board on August 5th, 2025. Next up, rezoning development permit RZ 2506. Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Make sure I have this. I'm Chris Paxton, Director of Administrative Services. This project is at the 1200 block of East Lake Francis Drive. The proposed zoning is C2 roadway commercial. The applicant desires to rezone Lot 2 of the Thompson subdivision consisting of 7.37 acres from that's a typo, R2 district to C2 district commercial, roadway commercial. The applicant is desiring to rezone the property for a future church. The applicant is also requesting to amend the future land use designation from neighborhoods 1 to local commercial to allow for large offices and shops. The future land use map designates this area as neighborhoods 1. The proposed C2 zoning district does not align with this designation and allows for large offices and shops, which are identified in the 2040 comprehensive plan as not appropriate for the area. A future land use map amendment has been submitted to amend the land use designation from neighborhoods 1 to local commercial. To rezone the property from R2 residential medium to C2 roadway commercial. The site is currently vacant. The surrounding area consists of established industrial, commercial, and institutional uses, which are generally equal to or more intensive than the proposed zoning. There are residential uses located to the northwest and the northeast of the site. However, the northeastern property is currently zoned for commercial use and is considered a legal non-conforming residential use. And the applicant will be required to provide opaque screening for the residential property to the northwest. Staff finds that the rezoning meets the minimum lot requirements of C2 zoning and is consistent with the commercial institutional neighborhood context and character. Additionally, the proposal does not align with the future land use designation for the property. Therefore, a future land use map amendment is needed to amend the land use designation to local commercial. I stand for any questions.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any comments or questions from the public?
Mike Horton, 23063 Lawless Road. Mr. Thomas, thank you for considering our opinion and our concern on the situations. The reason that I am concerned about this is it connects with our church property that I built 41 years in pastoring there, and my son is there now. He's not able to be here tonight, so I speak in concerning that. Not concerning the building, but the drainage, and let me explain. We have had issues with drainage. I am all for progress, but I think there needs to be some substantial, not just I think it'll work, but figure it out that whether it will work or not. On the south side of our property now, there is an easement with a small drainage. 2 years ago, we visited with several of the city board members along at that particular time. Kevin Moore was there along with Don Clark and again, other members from the city. And when they was building the proposed, at that time, trailer park across the street, which now they transferred or went to building houses, the grave concern was it was flooding our property. And as a matter of fact, the building that's directly in behind our church, the water would come right up to the sidewalk or right up to the porch. This morning, they promised us then that drainage would be fixed. 2 years later, it is not fixed. We have give groceries out, our food pantry, the second Tuesday of every month. our folks waded water up to their ankles all morning delivering groceries to people's car because that drainage is not fixed. So we're now going to have a drainage problem on the south side and now on the northwest side. So I deeply regret that I have these issues, but it is grave concern. These people come, we serve about 100 families every month, give or take a few. And for them to drive up and the people delivering their groceries to their car, deliver it in 2 inches of water or up to their ankles is absolutely absurd when we was promised 2 years ago that that drainage would be taken care of and be fixed. They're going to blame the state that goes across Arkansas 59. Whatever or whoever the problem is on the east side of Highway 59 is city. On the west side of the highway is city. It's not fixed, and it is terrible. So are we going to create another problem, which that land all drains, and I don't know whether you all know it or not, but when they put the city sewer through there, the sewer is higher than the property, which creates another problem. I've got 3 buildings there, and every building had to have a pump station put in it to get to the city sewer. Please consider the drainage problem that we have here in our city, not only there, but in other areas as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Horton. Any drainage issues, you want to address that? Ron?
Ron Homeyer, Civil Engineering, 701 South Mount Olive. The site you're considering now drains to the railroad tracks, not south onto the church property. And if there is any part of it that's draining to the church property, none of the additional runoff will be getting that far because we'll divert it through a detention pond, which will then discharge into the railroad right away, which is where it goes now. So, I mean, if you have any other questions about traffic or anything like that, I'd be glad to answer them.
Right. And all of that would be addressed at the preliminary plat, right?
A significant development will be coming in a month or two where we will dive in detail into drainage. Yes. I'm disappointed that the whole area that's currently zoned, a lot of it's already zoned C2, is future land use for neighborhoods. I mean, that shouldn't have been. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Ron. So at this time, we're just addressing the rezoning development permit, correct?
Correct.
Commissioners, any questions or comments?
I will say, Mr. Horton, thanks for sharing. I am familiar a little bit with the drainage issue in that area, especially on the other side of the road. It's really bad. There's a house there that's the Thompsons used to own it. It flooded all the time. I think the reality that we're just approving the development, and then we'll know more about that. We'll give you opportunity to come and speak more later.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'd move we approve RZ 2506, forward to the board with recommendation of approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams,
Yes.
T. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. The rezoning development permit recommendation for approval passes. We'll go to the board on August 5th, 2025. Next up, easement acceptances. Chris?
So we have easement acceptances. I will just go through these. This is 407 and 505 Buffalo Gap Drive, 311 North Simon Sager Avenue. If there's no additional questions, I'll move on. 900 block of Cherry Whitlock Drive and 2100 block of North Don Hill Road. If there's no additional questions, I can move on. This is 120 North Gunder Street and 313 East Franklin Street. We have 398 Rains Road, 3505 Cherry Whitlock Drive.
Delve into Rains Road a little more.
Can you say that again? You want me to zoom in?
No. Just talk a little bit about it. Are we talking about
Sure.
potentially putting a actual housing development out there? What?
I'm not sure at this time. It's just the acceptance of the easements that would be associated with the platting of the property. So I know when people see something that size, that it's, when you see a movement of anything that happens on a property that size, that's the first thing that goes into people's heads. But at this time, with an easement acceptance, they can be done for various reasons, and it doesn't necessarily mean that anything's directly going to happen. It doesn't mean that it's not. At this time, I don't believe we have a project submitted for that location.
That's correct. I don't know of anything on Rains Road right now.
Thank you. And that is all of our easement acceptances. I just need it. Staff just requests a motion to accept as presented.
If there's no questions, commissioners, I will accept a motion to accept easements as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Pardon me, who did the second, please? Thank you. T. Williams,
Yes.
Sally,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Sutton,
Yes.
K. Williams.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up, meeting time discussion.
Mr. Chair, so a while back, we moved our meeting time from, I believe, 5:30 to 6 to accommodate an agenda session type meeting that would be had before this meeting by the Board of Directors. That meeting no longer occurs, and we offer the Planning Commission their time slot back if they would like to go back to meeting at 5:30. However, the day cannot be changed. It is codified. However, the time is at the pleasure of this commission. If you would like to move it back to 5:30, we do have public notice requirements that are out right now, so I believe that those public notice requirements extend all the way to 30 days.
That's correct. If the commission's pleasure was to move it to 5:30, that would be, let's see, that would be for the September meeting, I believe, because notices are already going out for August at this point, so.
That is correct. So in that September meeting, just to note, that would put us back, saving, so we start losing daylight when we get closer into the winter. So not making a recommendation one way or another. It's totally up to the board, but if you did do that, it would be nice to staff. But it's totally up to you. And that can be done by a simple motion, and you don't have to do a roll call. You can do just a voice vote.
Commissioners' thoughts?
I like 5:30 better than 6.
5:30.
I'm a yes with 5:30.
That's general consensus, so I
Motion to
will.
move to 5:30.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That's a treat, by the way, Chris.
Thank you, appreciate
For you, buddy.
it. No problem.
Excuse me.
5:30.
May I please confirm who was the first and the second? Was it McKinney for first and T. Williams for second? Thank you.
Board and staff approved permits.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board and staff approved permits. The July 15th Board of Directors, the ROW 25-03, 407 and 505 Buffalo Gap Drive easement vacate is on its third reading. The ROW 25-04, 311 North Simon Sager Avenue easement vacate is on its third reading. We have several projects, the HB Foods PD to I-1, and that same property, you may recall that that was two pieces of that PD was being broken into two pieces, I-1 on the south end and C2 on the north end. That's moving to its third reading. Just on a side note on that project, several members of our board are going to Berryville to see an eggplant that is similar to the nature of the one that would be proposed at that location. And they're going tomorrow. They'll be leaving here at 1 p.m. to go to Berryville. And I think that their intent is, and I don't want to speak on behalf of the board, but I believe the intent is to see what kind of impacts, so for example, odors, noises, different stuff like that it might have with that type of development, since it's a little bit of it's not uncommon for Arkansas, but it's not one that we see every day, which is, grading and sorting eggs and having a refrigeration facility, et cetera. So some of the board members did want to know a little bit more about it, and I believe we have 4 board members that should be viewing that tomorrow. We also have PP 2501, which is the Oak Brook Phase 2, is fast-tracked to the July 15th Board of Directors meeting, as is the PP 2502 Winding Springs. We have final plat identical 25-02 for Lawless Ranch Phase 3 that was, I believe that's being requested to be tabled, or that was requested to be tabled.
It is to be tabled at that meeting due to legal notification problems.
Gotcha. So they did not meet their legal notice requirement, so July 15th it'll be tabled and go to the next board meeting after that. Staff announcements, that's the next item. That is, I will leave that to you.
Are there any questions regarding the board and staff approved permits? We don't have to vote on those, right? They're just an FYI.
You do know, it's just to notify the board or the commission. If you'd like, I can continue. So we have a meeting cancellation for July 8th. The Plan Development Review Committee does not have any items to review, therefore that meeting has been canceled. UDC update. I didn't know if Ben wanted to do any update. I think our next item for that is the joint workshop with the Planning Commission and the Board of Directors. Just a little information on that. Ben, what's the date on that?
It's going to be, it's a different day than we normally meet, but it's going to be a week from this Thursday. So I believe that's the 17th. It's just a better day because of board meetings and stuff like that to do it on a Thursday. So I don't know if a time's been set on that though, but I believe it will probably be.
My guess is it'll be at 5:30.
5:30, okay.
Unless I get overridden by the city administrator, it will be at 5:30. So we do look forward to that. If you've never been a part of a joint meeting, just note you will have an agenda. Each of the planning commissioners will sit across the front and chairs staggered from the board members. Once the mayor calls the meeting to order, the mayor will be the chair of the meeting overall. The only item that will be on the agenda is a discussion topic. It is a workshop. The planning commissioners should not be making any motions that would be a part of that. Since this is a workshop and it will be defined as such on the agenda. So other than that, I don't think I have anything else for that. I did want to ask about training. I know it's not on the agenda that I see, but I did have several several commissioners ask me about training. Would this planning commission like to have a separate workshop at some point and have training on basics for planning commission, how decisions are made, some basic laws? And if you would like that, then you can just direct staff at this point and we can start working on something probably for September.
I don't think it would hurt. That'd be great. It'd be nice to have a little more information, and especially on
I would
laws.
recommend that we do it When I was on the commission before, I took part in the state Unit 1 of the commission. It was very informative, too.
Yeah, so that has actually, I believe that the state now promotes the CARPO program, which is the Certified Arkansas Planning Official Program through I believe that is through the APA.
Through APAC, all right?
Is it through APAC? Yes.
Yeah.
I have taken that. I am a certified Arkansas planning official. It takes 2 years to complete that, give or take, but I believe post-COVID, they have made it available online, so it's a little bit easier than whenever I went through the whole thing one at a time. And if you want more information on that, I can get that out to the board too, or excuse me, to the commission. One day I'll get that right. And I
We
don't
know
have
what you
anything
mean.
else.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioners, any other comments? If not, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.